Today.
Go bowling. It's the men's pins over average, the first division. Our two finalists are Chip Bowling and Bob Border. Now, Mike, you're well acquainted with these young men. Chip and Bob, tell us first a little bit about Chip.
Okay, Chip Bowling, Omar, is from Capri Lanes. He has a 164 average. Bob Border is from Royal Z McCook Lanes. He has a 165 average. So there's only one pin difference in their average, and that one pin will be added into their score today.
That handicap, they will get the pin and
they get the one
as they
pin
go
handicap.
along.
Right.
Well, if Chip's our first man up, and Chip's about ready to go.
He's 26 years old, Omar. He's bowls in the Tuesday Sportsman League over at Capri. And he came here to Dayton, to the University of Dayton. He came from Colorado Springs.
I think a little bit about our bowling today, Mike, is so many bowlers in the Dayton-Miami Valley area can acquaint themselves to Chip and Bob.
You're right. This is our average bowler.
That's a little bit better than average.
Much better than average on that one.
Okay, now about Bob Border.
Okay, Bob is 37 years old. He's a shop foreman at Southeast Tool, and he's been bowling for 25 years. He had a high average about 5-6 years ago of 202, so he's a very good bowler. He's had some physical problems.
And he's got to get himself two for the spare,
right.
But I think he had one left
He
there.
leaves the 6'8".
Yes.
6'10", I'm sorry, 6'10".
We have to say on this given day, they've got themselves some fans in the background.
I was going to say, we got a pretty good turnout over.
Right.
He'll be going cross lane. And oops, drops in the... And that pin doesn't count.
No, coming out of the gutter didn't count. So
he has a 8-pin count in the first frame. Now we're bowling, Omar, the same way they bowl one of the pro matches on Pro Bowlers Tour. The first bowler gets up, bowls one frame, then they bowl 2 frames the rest of the way, and that same first bowler finishes up.
Moves the game along. A little bit of twist action there for him. Well,
pretty good. Gets that 7-pin out of there.
Made up for missing the spare. Now we pick it up again with Chip.
We got Chip coming up here again. He hasn't bowled. This is his first year back bowling. He, as he said, he bowled in high school in Colorado Springs, but he hasn't bowled since 1980 until this year. He said he didn't realize how much he missed it. In high school, he was a golfer.
Well, Mike, you and I go way back, and I have to admit from the standpoint, didn't get that one up and up.
A
little bit thin end coming in. With the realization of our Casanos 300 Club throughout the season, I just never realized that the Miami Valley is dotted with a lot of good bowlers.
Oh, we have a lot of good bowlers in this area. You figure in the 300 Club, Omar, in the 2 years that Channel 2 has been running it, we have over 200 members. So, and in the final game today, 2 of those members will be bowling for $1,000. He's shooting that 2-pin.
Right on the money. He's got himself a strike and a spare.
And he's got about a 10-pin lead here.
Once again, we have the handicap situation, but it is so small. I mean, but a pin is a pin when you look at it like that.
In our second match today, with the ladies' pins over average, there'll be a little bit wider difference in the handicaps.
Here's Chip in the 3rd frame.
Crossing over and getting a lucky
got
kick.
it. Yeah, he shakes his head as he comes back, but it's not how it's hit sometimes.
40 in that second, you're right. When they check back later, all they see is the strike.
That's so true. That is so true.
By the way, Bob Border up here, I mentioned that he had average. He had a high game at one time, 287, and a high series of 739. So he's capable of shooting a good score. And
right in the pocket.
You got that strike. And that double, he just about evens that match back up.
Well, as of the moment, when we talk about our average bowler, I think we're in reference for these 2 gentlemen right now. They're doing very, very well.
Now, in our pins over average, Omar, we had 12,000 entries in the city, greater Dayton area. And these are our 2 men, and let's say the next match will be our 2 women from those 12,000. And he's going to...
Moving right along, as they say.
Turkey puts him into the lead.
Bob had the 8 pins on the first frame, and since that, as Mike just pointed out, he has the turkey now, the 3 straight strikes. Here's Chip Bowling.
And if Chip wants to stay up with him, he needs a double here. He needs to strike.
Look out.
A little bit,
And he moved right in front
high.
of our camera shot there as he moved over.
A little bit high. Left that 3-6-10. And you know, from watching Pro Bowlers Tour, this is one the pros don't like to shoot either. It's a little bit too easy to pick off one of those pins or 2 of those pins.
Our competition is today taking place on lanes 45 and 46 out here at Poking Lane South, in which there are 52 lanes. Fine bowling establishment. Here's Chip.
As I said, he picked off that 3 pin. It's very easy to do. I think the average bowler out there can feel for Chip at this point.
It looks like a matter of getting on the outside, pushing him over, but I tell you, you just pick up that pin so cleanly sometimes. And that's just what happened to Chip just a moment ago, and now he comes up here in the
and he's using a black
frame.
He's using a black U-dot.
Little stutter step there as he comes.
There he's back in shape now.
Right. And now here's Bob Border. Bob with the turkey. He's got three strikes in a row. Look out.
Fast wrap around that 10 pin.
Well, sometimes they seem like they're glued.
When you watch that in slow motion, you wonder how it ever misses the pin.
Take a look at Chip and Bob both in slow motion. Take a look at Bob as the deliveries all vary. They all are different, but it's the end result that counts. Going after the 10 pin. Oh, he lost it. He lost it. That
rushed his delivery a little bit, Omar, and it's amazing in bowling how important that speed is going to the line. It's a little bit like a golf swing when you open up and you hit that ball off to the right. If you get up there too fast, you can't bring that arm through, and the ball will go off on you. I'm sure he's kicking himself right now.
Yes. It brought the game a little bit...
We're back into a real tight match right now. He has 95 through the 5th frame.
And he got that a little on the Brooklyn side.
He's that 3-6.
He's got to pick up the spare here to get out of this thing, but he's seeing right now Chip Bowling getting right back.
Right.
Yes.
Chip's back in the match.
The old saying, you let the guy off the hook.
He come back and get you.
That's so true.
Bob has 95 through the 5th with a spare in the 6th. Chip has 66 through the 4th with a strike in the 5th. He can take a lead, nice lead here if he can come up with that double.
Chip Bowling.
Another 10 pin.
I'm going to have to ask him to take a step to the left when he delivers to the right. But he moves right into it.
Well, see, he has that same 10 pin that Bob rushed up there before and managed to miss. Now we'll see what Chip does with it. You know, those corner pins are probably, when you're just an average bowler, those corner pins are the 2 toughest pins to pick up.
Well, especially if you're a right-handed bowler coming down on that right-hand side with that 10 pin or vice versa on the 10. Oh, he stayed right on it. Good roll. Got the spare. So Chip Bowling now. Border at 95. 85, and Chip at what, 90?
And Chip is at 86, 86 through the 5th. So there's
9 pins separating with both spares in the 6th, yes. I think at the moment you're going to see that it's going to end up close between these two competitors. Our men's pins over average, our first category of our afternoon of bowling here. TV2 Super Bowl, and he gets himself the strike there. Chip Bowling. As they move into the 7th frame.
Just didn't get up there.
Just didn't get up there and didn't clean up very much at all, and he's got himself a tough challenge for a spare.
He's got a tough spare up there.
So
he's got that 2579.
Through the 6th, it's 111 to 106, isn't it? Right. But he's sitting right now. Chip is on a strike. Bob needs a tough one here. Oh, he rocked it, and he didn't get it, and if there are turning points, you might go back to that one. That's called a wobbler. You got a turkey and a wobbler on you, you know. So through 7, 120 for Chip.
No, that's for Bob. Bob has, that's actually Bob. Picked up that strike.
Picked up the strike. So here's Chip, as you might say, in an advantageous position.
He's in a very good position right now. If he can come up with another.
Look out.
He's coming up. They're both having a little bit of problem with lane 46. It looks like their balls are coming up a little bit higher and a little bit heavier.
I guess bowlers could say that when they work around such as poking lanes south or with 52 lanes, they could say, I always have trouble with so-and-so, trouble with so-and-so.
Oh, yes.
Reference, they well remember that.
They remember that. It was the 3, 6, 9, 10.
This is not an easy one to pick up.
This is another tough spare, but this would be a big spare if he could make it.
Oh.
Picks it up. That's
yes.
Okay, that gives Chip 127 through the 7th frame. And we got Bob at 120, so you got a 7-pin differential right now.
Bob working on a strike, though. Chip working on a spare.
Chip working on a spare, that's right. So it's really almost back to even, depending on what happens in that next frame.
Once again, for those of you who might have joined us late, this is the men's pins over average, our TV2 Super Bowl, and this is the average bowler. This is the man who does it 2 or 3 times a week. Does it quite well there.
Strike. That gives him 147 through that 8th frame, and there is Chip Boland's wife. I'm sorry, that's Bob Border's wife. Carol sitting over there that was watching and rooting for her husband.
Here's Bob. Trying to get it up. He didn't get up there.
I think he tried to adjust a little bit there, and that time it just didn't come up.
I want to remind you that the
Left that 1, 2, 4.
women's pins over average coming up next, following the men's here, and then we'll go to our 300 club finalists, which we have a pair of, you say, a little out of our league bowlers. Wrapped it around there, and that's got to hurt.
That 1, 2, and leaves the 4. That hurt. You know, that's bowlers always look at that 9th frame as the building frame. If you can do something in it, you can get into that 10th frame and possibly strike out. But having an open in the 9th put him in a bad position. The 7-pin. He has 148 through 9, Omar, and a 7-pin. The most he can shoot is a 168.
At the moment, Chip seems
Right
to,
now is
yes.
in a very strong position.
Yeah. And he got the spare really well. Clean it up, and as Mike pointed out, he can finish with the 20 pins and
168.
get a 168 would be the best he can do. But as pointed out with
Yeah, it's interesting, Omar. That's almost right on his average. He came in here with a 165 average.
well, it's symbolic of sort of what we wanted to show today. The average bull, and he gets a lot of help there. So Bob finishes with a 168.
168. Now, Chip has a 147 in the 8th. He has a strike in the 9th. So he needs at least one mark. He needs a mark. He can't afford to be open.
One of those,
so we got a
yes.
good tight match here. I'm sure he knows it. I'm sure his
And he's
fans
obviously
here
enough.
also know it, and they're rooting for him.
He's concentrating here on this last frame.
And remember, this bull counts for $1,000 for the
Hey.
first brace and $500 for seconds.
Nice afternoon's work.
Went over
Well,
Brooklyn again.
Yes, he did.
Left that 5'8", 5'9".
He has to pick up
He has to make
this.
He has to make this spare, right?
He has to make this spare. Well, you couldn't ask for more drama in the opening match.
No, he didn't. Won already.
Here's Chip Bowling.
He did. Yeah. He didn't. He made it.
He made
Omar,
it,
but we were wrong. He
Yes,
really didn't need
He
it.
didn't need it, did he? He's at
So we're
one,
making it tougher on him.
but he's at 166 with the frame to go, and he can now end up with as much as 186, can't he?
Well, he's got a 167. He's got 177 with the
Well,
spare.
with the
with the spare, so he can end
Yes.
up with a 187.
187 with his handicap, right? So
So he's the winner of our $1,000.
Chip Bowling. Nice finish. There you
Finish
go.
with a strike.
Big finish. So Chip Bowling is our winner in the initial competition, men's pins over average. We'll be moving to the women's pins over average. Once again, Mike, Chip Bowles, where's he out of?
Chip Bowling bowls out of Capri.
A Bowles out of Capri, so Capri can be proud of our